Right, calling the April 9th, 2025 Lower Makefield Historical Commission meeting to order. Review and approval of March 2025 meeting minutes. Anybody have any changes? No. Somebody want to make a motion to accept? Mitch motion. With what I was drinking at dinner. I was not. All right, all in favor? Oh, I'm not allowed to vote, I think. All right, unanimous. Mitch made, Jeff, yeah, seconded, yeah. You should know when you sit next to me, I'm a handsy. Remind me to tell you a story about that. Yeah. Treasurer's report, Tom.
How's everybody doing? Can you see my screen? I can't hear anybody.
We got you, Tom. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, good. So in the as of this month, the LMT general fund balance is $41,250. In the community fund, we had a couple of expenses this month. Part of the
Sorry, oops, so loud. Sorry, Tom, that's not the community fund, that's in the other fund.
Which fund?
The township fund. The community fund is the money that we carry year to year, and so far it's what we use the Slate Hill for with the GPNR.
Okay, this has been a series, a source of confusion for the last 2 years. So look, I have a couple of requests. When people submit money for reimbursement, whether directly or whatever, please keep me in the loop so that I know what's going on. I was unaware of these archive supplies expenses until Cathy filled me in the other day. And then also let me know which fund you're drawing them from. So if that's the case, then that $426.55 should come off of that 41,250. I'll make the adjustment to that balance and the community fund balance.
Cool.
Any questions?
Historic resources survey. Jeff will take the leadership on this.
Sure. So the survey has begun. Jeff Marshall is a little bit more than a week into starting the survey and going house to house. We were able to successfully extract the tax lot number and addresses from the 2007 PDF documents and create a CSV or a spreadsheet that was turned over to Megan and Elizabeth at the state to be uploaded to our PA Share project account to give us a basis to add data to. I've been informed that that has successfully happened. I also understand that Jeff Marshall has been given access to that shared project. I, however, have not gotten my access yet, so I can't verify anything progress-wise from within that, but I'm hoping to have that soon. And then we would hope to start supporting Jeff Marshall by, as he takes the photos and pulls the data on the original 2007 properties, to begin the process of uploading that new data set into PAA Share to start establishing our record of the historic properties to support our other efforts in historic preservation. We did go through, and there were 2007 homes that were documented despite the fact they were no longer there. So we did remove those from the efforts for Jeff and for the further work. We will go back in if we have records from the 1982 survey with photos and backdate those after the 2025 project is done. I think Jeff is hoping to get a majority of the photo work done as soon as possible so that we can get it done before too many leaves are on the trees and obscure the views of the homes. I don't think there's much else to update, Cathy.
So two things. The first is, so I talked to Jeff and I'd like to leave this meeting with kind of more of an action plan on who is, I think somebody just came in. More of an action plan on, I guess just let me. Sorry, somebody's coming into the meeting. Okay. I'd like to get a work plan going with names attached to it on who is doing what needs to be done. And the other thing that we have to do that I mentioned to Jeff today, after talking to Jim Majewski earlier today, is we have to do a community engagement event. So he wanted us to pick a Saturday, not too far out, maybe like end of May, not Memorial Day weekend, of course, early June, where we'd have this area open for like 4 hours and people could bring us any information that they have on houses and we can scan it on site. And then also we can share some of our historic resources. Like we have all those books. I'll talk about the archiving. There might be some stuff from the archiving project that we can share also. So I don't know, Jeff, if you can help break down a little bit like what next steps are and if everybody's properly trained. And was that meeting actually recorded and shared? Thanks.
Thanks, Kathy. So the training did take place a week ago. The training session is recorded, and I do have the ability to share the access to that Zoom recording if anybody wants to go do the training or view the training in retrospect. It's the training on how to enter the data into PA Share, which is the Pennsylvania Historic Resources website where the data is added in a way that we can do layered approaches to the data throughout the different years we have within Lower Makefield. The steps to support Jeff, as the one I mentioned, is we will need to have people involved in uploading the data to PA Share, which will involve getting a PA Share account set up and tied to the project. Additionally, as Kathy said, we will need to do that training day, or at least that community engagement day. The community engagement emails have gone, not emails, I'm sorry, social media posts have gone out to the different Lower Makefield groups from Jim. They have, I've seen some interaction with them, not a significant amount, but there has been some likes and views and such.
He got some pictures. Somebody dropped some pictures off today or sent them to him.
Beautiful. So my hope would be, and I was hoping that either both Jim and Victor agreed to be part of this project, that one of them would volunteer to take on the community engagement event.
Dave's on too.
And Dave, okay. So if Dave or Tom also are willing to take on the lead on that, it would literally be we'd put it out to the social media channels that we were going to be holding it, and we'd encourage people to get information about the historic survey, but also if they have a historic home or a home they believe to be historic and they have photos or old deeds or anything else, to bring them in. We'll have scanning on demand available that day to scan and return their original documents to them so we can capture that data. But I am looking for a volunteer to coordinate that. I don't think there's any other tasks at this time until Jeff is later in the process.
How does somebody, because I know I set up a PA Share account for myself, and it ended up having a somewhat obscene username because I got so frustrated in the process. How would somebody link their PA Share account to the project? How does that happen?
Yeah, either Elizabeth or Megan, who are 2 reps, have to make that connection for you. You've got to contact them by email, and they can tell them which account is yours, what email addresses they are, and they can tie them to the project.
Okay, so I think a good first step is let's get you and Tom PA Share accounts, and when you get them, just send that information to me, and then or to Jeff, send it to Jeff, and Jeff can send it to Elizabeth. Delegate.
It may be that once I have access, I'll be able to add people, but until I get access, I don't know if I have that privilege.
Okay. Well, I was going to check in with Megan about some other stuff this week anyway, so maybe I can kind of follow up with her on making sure that things move along. We're gonna talk about this more when we get to the demolition ordinance, but it is imperative that this project gets moving quickly. So yeah,
It had a late start due to some insurance issues and sign off with the township, but that is in the past and it is moving quickly. So at the speed of Jeff Marshall.
Right.
I sent a message to Crancer on,
You probably use the microphone, Helen.
Oh, yeah.
I sent a message to Mr. Crancer on the likely houses that would be missed if, on a casual survey, because I've done this twice now before. So we looked at especially small houses with larger lots as particularly endangered. And a lot of the smaller houses do not view from the street as older houses, but actually are. So there's several that I know of personally. So that I was wondering if somehow I could get a look at it at some points to make sure.
Well, I think what would be helpful is if you have a list of things you're worried about getting missed, you send it to Jeff and it can go to Jeff Marshall. Right?
Yeah, so basically, if it was missed by the 1982 and the 2007 surveys, then definitely we need those addresses.
Yeah, he did it in 80. Jeff did it in 1980.
Right.
But
So,
then
we
other
started,
people did the interim ones.
right. So the list we're working from that we provided the state is based on the 82 and the 2007 properties that still exist. So if-
1981s have serious errors.
Okay. Well, so basically, but if you know of properties that weren't covered by those two surveys, yes, we do need those addresses. Please email me with them and I can get them in and get them in the
So how
process.
is he correcting that?
We're the ones controlling the addresses and tax lots that Jeff Marshall goes to. And we're using the 2007 survey as the basis for the homes that were done before to be updated, that were previously denoted. So the ones beyond that, we need to provide to him.
So we're not correcting it. I'm not understanding.
If you have concerns about the addresses, send them to Jeff. We are in control of what Jeff Marshall goes out and looks at. If we give him addresses, he will look at them. That's,
Yeah.
seems like it.
Yes,
With it, right?
yes.
Okay.
So instead of sending it to somebody else, send it to Jeff because he's our main coordinator and dealing with Jeff Marshall the most. Okay. All right. Not meaning to put people on the spot, but Tom or Dave, are either of you okay with leading the community event? I think essentially what it is finding a date that works for us and Jim Majewski, and then just letting us know and having some of us help staff it. Yeah, right. I think that's, and then I'd be happy to work with Jim on getting it out on social media and announcing it. I'm not thinking it's going to be a big turnout event. It's not, whatever, but it is something we have to do. Thank you, Dave.
Dave volunteered.
See, I got him right next to me. So, I can put a little extra pressure on him. Yeah, I'm happy to help and I will send you an email, Cathy, to send email to link with Jim M. All right, got it. Okay. All right, segueing into the demolition ordinance status. The status is there is a supervisor that they're holding it up until Jeff Marshall's survey is done. So we have expressed our concerns multiple times. And we'll continue to express our concerns about the pace of this, but.
A point of clarification, the survey of the homes themselves and getting them into PA share will be long before the project is done in December, like all the write-ups and such required by the state. So maybe we can make that the deadline is the documentation stage. And once that is done, versus the entire project, which is scheduled through December.
Yeah, it was asked that the township staff asked Jeff to move faster because yeah, that's what that email was that Dave sent out. I think your point is well taken, and we will continue to advocate for this. And Joe will be back from vacation next week, and we will be sitting down and talking about this more. And that's kind of all I can say right now.
We have to do a public event too, when this gets, or have they waived that?
A public event for what?
When you publish a new ordinance, you have to have a public meeting where people can comment.
Right. The Board of Supervisors has to hear it, and the Board of Supervisors is not putting it on the agenda at this time.
Oh,
No.
that's not good.
Yes. Totally recognize. We're totally in agreement on that one, Helen. And, you know, again, we're doing what we can.
We have every week one more house that goes on that endangered list.
I understand.
Yep, thank you.
I understand. All right, property updates, 743 River Road is still listed as pending. So fingers crossed it stays that way for a while. Cataloging township-owned materials, Dawn is a superstar and she spent all that money. And we also got a few donations from the township. They donated a scanner that they weren't using that is close enough to what we need. That saved us $600, so yay. I don't know if you can see in the back there is a very large legal black file cabinet. So Dawn and Dom started today and starting to organize, which is the first step, into folders. So at this point, they're going to continue to do that. It's a limited time that they can have access to this room, so that complicates things, but they have the room every Wednesday afternoon. And at some point, then what's going to need to happen is everything's going to need to be numbered and then entered into Past Perfect, not PA Share. And at that point, we will be asking for volunteers, I think, right? All right. Anything I missed, Dawn? Okay. And like I said, I keep reporting on this, but Dawn is doing all the work. Cool. All right. Slate Hill Cemetery. So I'll update on the GPNR, and then Monica sent me an update. So Monica and I spent an enormous amount of time on the map, and we sent it back to Century Mapping and had a meeting with them last week. The woman doing it, Holly, said she couldn't get to it till at least Monday. We hope to have it back in the next week or two, and then we'll have to do like a final review. But then that part of it will be done. And once we have the physical map, well, it'll be an electronic copy. And what we decided is it will be printable as an entire cemetery, and then each side we can print out too. And then they will do the web mapping from there. So it is moving along. Yeah, and it's pretty exciting, actually. Let me open Monica's notes. All right. So the grant for the headstone repairs was approved to go out to bid by the Board of Supervisors on April 2nd. The ads are running from, it looks like today till the 15th. Bidding officially opens today and is open through the end of the month. So once that happens in May, we will evaluate the bids, and we will, as a group here, I mean, I think Monica and the Slate Hill group, we will come to the larger group with a recommendation on the bid. We will vote on it, and then we will get in front of the Board of Supervisors in June or July for approval to move forward. And then she is hoping to have the contract awarded on or before 7/25/25. All good news. Spring cleanup day, she, and if people have any opinions on this, is suggesting May 3rd, the first Saturday in May, with a rain date on 5/4. Note says, please vote on a date. So do people, how does May 3rd look for people? I'm open.
Should be okay with me.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
One thing you might want to consider is a couple of years ago, we ran into the Martha Washington Garden Club, who were doing the lower portion of the cemetery cleanup. And we decided, oh, this is great. We've got double the effort here, and we should coordinate in the future um, on these events. So someone might want to reach out to who's ever the head of that club right now and let them know about this date.
Okay, I will ask Monica to do that. I don't know that we have to vote on a date, but everybody seems okay with the date. Everybody, okay. So I'll let her know that that date works. I also just, through a neighbor, connected with somebody, a teacher at the George School. So these kids, they're taking them to France to clean Quaker graves. High school is way different than when I went to high school. But anyway, they are interested in kind of doing something with us. So I asked Monica and she agreed to make contact with them, and then maybe we will have them do some of the work for us. So what we're going to do is a leaf cleanup, any flag removal for mowing, and then potentially, Jeff, for you, poking around for headstones around the perimeter. All right. Radar, project Pensbury. Monica did complete a deck for Pensbury. Jim's supposed to be kind of doing some final proofing, and then she's going to try to get them to tour the cemetery and then try to set something up. So we're working with the kids. Which part did you get? Did you get the May 3rd thing? Oh, she created a presentation that I think she showed us last time, a presentation to present to Pensbury schools to try to find a way to get the kids to come and visit as part of.
Jim did that, yeah.
Yeah, well, Monica did it. Jim gave feedback. All right. And then her last thing is America 250, so I'm gonna save it to that. Let me make a note to Monica. Okay. All right, back to the agenda. River Road, Slate Hill Cemetery. All right, and no questions on any of that. So it's all moving along nicely. Patterson Farm, Joe has a very detailed list of things to do, and he's going to work on it in May after his class is done, because he's also taking the architecture class. His is at Bucks, mine's at Rutgers, and boy, is that a lot of work. But he's continues to be on it. So, all right. America 250 planning, and I talked to Mitch a little before. I'd like to firm some of this stuff up a little, because I believe the grant that Mitch sent out is due by May 7th or early May. Yeah, 7th is what's in my brain. Monica offered to write the grant, but we need to decide what needs to be written. Monica's a great grant writer. She's written a bunch of grants for us. So she wanted us to decide on what our projects were. And then she did some scoping out with South Sign Design and Build to a project similar to the photo below. That's the photo she showed us before. And that estimate is $20,000 to $25,000. So just so we know that, because we are responsible for 50% of that. And I definitely am not confident that the township has that money laying around.
I'm not so sure that what you're gonna get out of it is $25,000 worth of ooh-ah-ahs.
Yeah. Yeah, so I wanted to give you that. She's willing to submit the grant for that, and she is also willing to handle any other grant writing. So now I will turn it to you, Mitch.
Okay, well, I was at the last Bucks 250 meeting, and they're kind of still getting off the ground with it, but the important thing is the website is up and running. They are looking for input onto the website. If we would like to, we can put a link to whatever we have to their website. If you want to give that to me, Cathy, anything you'd like to link it to, I'll send that link across to their people who will set it up. If there's nothing right now, there's nothing at some point. They were talking about, they hired a very interesting individual who, his name is Scott. I didn't get his last name. He is from a company named Apple Video, Dita USA. And he's been hired by Washington Crossing to produce 6 episodes of The Siege, the Day of Washington Crossing. And he's already begun work on it. And he's got a few actors that are going to be partaking in it. He couldn't tell us the names, but he says once we hear the name, we'll know who they are. And this is a big program. It's going to totally add up to what is a 2-hour documentary about Washington. And he's going to be looking for input from the various townships and anybody else that has anything that they can add to it. That's a 2-hour documentary of 6 episodes. It's a lot of filming. So they're looking for as much input as possible. So if we think of anything, again, I can get a hold of him and tell him this is what we'd like to add to it or not, and go from there. They're working on a digital map. So once we have, if it's a parade, if it's just McStallis Park, if it's whatever we're going to do, they'll incorporate that on the digital map, and they are going to print hard copy to be distributed at Washington Crossing and other spots at some point in time. Let's see what else here. The April grants we just talked about. They're also looking at what impact the World Cup has, because that's coming in 26 in the spring also, which is coming around the same time as this. So they're kind of looking into that as well. And again, we need to develop the events before we get the grants. So we talked about McAllister Park. That seems to be the one thing we're pretty sure that we can put together and ask for the grant on. So I think that Cathy and I just talked about that Monica can write up something about that.
Yeah, I mean, I would like us to have a little discussion tonight and just figure out what we want to get support on and what we want to get the grant on, because I need to find that email that you sent again and just look at that grant page. But I think it's like a maximum they'll give you of 10,000. I just feel like this estimate of what she's talking about for Macclesfield is, as you said, maybe not good bang for the buck.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a great, I mean, it's a nice thing to have.
Yeah, I mean, and if we had all the money, I would love it, but that's a lot of money. So I think we need to, what are some of the other projects? Because
Well,
I've
we
sort of stopped
talked
tracking.
about houses, putting flags on them. So there's some,
We talked about a race. We talked about a retracing of the march of the soldiers when they came across after meeting up. First of all, they crossed the river to get to Trenton. The camp was in Trenton for 3 days. And then they crossed back through Lower Makefield
they went up
and
there.
camped at Macclesfield. That was the idea, to have the picture reflect the actual encampment. And we're talking 10th of December of 2026.
Mhm.
So it's going to be cold as a camp out, but it could be done, especially in the back part of the field, which was where the line for Joshua Anderson's land went through. So they camped on Anderson's land. I mean, we literally could have a reenactment of, it's the Jersey volunteer military and the Pennsylvania volunteer military that camped together on that land before they walked up to the crossing. So I think that would be fantastic,
Well, here's the thing.
but it's December.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Does it have to be December? I mean, do we have to do it in December? I mean, it's the entire year is being celebrated.
That's when it happened. So, do we want to do it then, or we want to move it up till October and then just let it drift to December? I don't know.
Victor's here.
Oh, it's Victor.
Victor, this is great because
me
we
put you
need,
in.
so this is the thing. I need to come back and update you on some PA share stuff, but we've been talking about this for like, what, 6 months now?
Yeah,
Yeah, we have to pull the trigger.
casually, yeah.
Yeah, so we need to decide what we are doing and that is realistic, given the amount of people we have willing to work on it.
And the people who are in charge of the grants, I spoke to one of the gentlemen, he gave me his name, and it's a direct line, if we need any more questions with him. They want this money to get out of here. They want to use it. So, you know, I think it's a good opportunity for us to at least dip into this segment of the grants, because who knows if there'll be more coming. So,
And do we want, I mean, a reenactment group will be close to $20,000. I would think, especially one with artillery. And we'd have to get all kinds of permission for that, but that would be awesome.
so.
Yeah, I mean, I want to flesh it down to what not is just awesome, but what is doable.
Doable.
Because every month we come and we ask for volunteers.
And this is something that militia groups are going to be, you
They're
know,
probably all booked up already.
well, some are formed, but some are not. And, you know, so the price range is going to vary depending on how good their uniforms are
Do-
and their
do you know-
reenactment.
Do you know any of these groups where you can get some pricing or idea of availability?
I've written to a couple, I've not gotten any replies back.
So what's the total availability of funds for these grants? So
They didn't put out a number, but they said there are some as large as 50, and there are, majority of them are going to be around 10-ish. Depends on how many come in and how many, you know, seem to make the most sense.
I,
and they're all matching grants, so we'd have to come up with the
Yes.
same amount that we get. So we'd have to get Lower Makefield to give us the first half, or we'd have to take it out of our fund. to
Yeah,
match.
exactly. So it depends on how much we want to do. Do we want to just put it all in one basket and say McAllis Park and bingo, that's it? Or do we want to discuss other options? I love the idea of the flags on the houses that were around. the
I think maybe we can get that through grants of people in the township donating to that. I think
Okay.
that the same thing with the race. I think if we work with Monica at the Park and Rec, we can perhaps get the race done the same way using local sponsors for that.
Well, once we decide what we want, aside from the grant,
But reenactors is going to be, that's out of my ballpark.
okay? Certainly not anywhere near my ballpark, that's for sure. I can't even say the word, let alone
But I say we go for it. Let's go for 20,000 and see what we get. What we could have would be, say, a 3-day, 4-day encampment at Macclesfield, have them then join the group that is marching from other points around the county to
Well,
Washington.
that's why I'm working with Jennifer
And then go with the
over at
cross.
Washington's Crossing.
Yeah.
I want to play off of her because they've got money, they've got
Absolutely, and
things,
people would
and
follow
it's-
them.
and it would
they'd
certainly
be
work.
excited.
and she's willing to work along with us
Yeah.
as well, but we just need to throw out our ideas and, you know.
I think.
We need to stop throwing out ideas. The grant is due. I just found the email from
Oh,
you.
okay,
The 15th, which is the day after our next meeting, which means we have to decide tonight if we
Yes.
want Monica to do it.
right.
I think we do it, and then we see what we can, you know, whether there's.
I don't know how detailed you have to be on these things, whether you have to be down to the nail and hammer
Well,
or,
It's hiring basic is like hiring an acting troupe.
but I mean, as far as applying for the grant, how much detailed information is required?
I mean, it doesn't, well, here, let me click it open again.
If the grant is an undetermined amount that they're going to award to us, I think the best path forward is to say, we're going to do a 4-day encampment. Our intention is to have that encampment group join the groups moving to Washington Crossing. And that's what we're requesting $20,000 for. And we keep it simple. And if they come back and say you can have 5 for that, well, then we'll play it down to 1 day versus 4 days.
Okay,
If they give us more than that, we can do an 8-day encampment or do something else with the flags. But
right.
I think, well, my experience is variable grants is you tell them what you want to do. You can't get quotes because how do you get a quote not knowing how much money they're going to get
Okay,
and what budget you've got? You've got to go back and say, this is what we want to do. And we're requesting $20,000 to do it.
and so if we're focusing on.
No, I mean, we need a budget. We also need to run it by the township because we would be putting them on the hook for $10,000.
Minimally.
Yeah, I mean, if we got a $10,000 grant, so yeah, I mean, we can't just,
So it sounds to me that what we want to do is all around McAllis Park. And that's what we're going to focus on in terms of what it is we got to add to it on top of having the reenactment, whether it's
Well, it's a good time of year for Makefield to be used for something else because most of the games are over and all of that stuff. So that part is excellent.
I'd like to make a suggestion that we don't have time between now and the next meeting to get the township to approve their half, but we do have $41,000 in our account. We can't touch that money for this?
No, we don't have any money in our account that is not budgeted for something. One of the reasons we have such a large amount of money in our account is because of the match of $30,000 for the headstones.
Okay.
So, and then all of, there's some money for, the archiving project, and I don't remember everything else that we have money budgeted for. Tom might know more.
Okay.
I'm looking at the grant, proposal. We can ask for 5, 10, or 20,000.
Okay.
So if,
And I'm assuming the 20,000 are probably big groups they're going to give it to. I would say probably looking at
Well, I
10.
do know that the gather place had already been given one from the first round. So I don't know, maybe we can find out what they got.
We-
Does that matter? I don't know.
They got like 25 grand.
I'd go for the
we really
25
have to
grand.
apply, we have to apply for the grant.
If it gets slower, it gets slower.
We have to apply for the grant. We can't wait for the township. And if they tell us they're not going to back it up, then we'll have to tell the grant we can't accept the money. We can't get it matched, right? So all we can do is try. We can apply for the grant. If we don't think the township's got 20, but we think the township has 10, then let's apply for 10. And if we get the grant, we can go to the township and say, this grant has been levied to us if you match it. If they say we don't have the money, then we don't get the grant. And then we don't do the program because we don't have the funds for it.
We have Boy Scouts down.
Yeah, well, whatever. If we have-
I can reach out to the township manager and ask him his thoughts on this.
Okay.
We're not going to be able to get this approved by the Board of Supervisors. I think I'd have to, let me talk to him. I don't want to,
We've already
Next year's budget.
run this by Monica, so I mean, it already kind of went into the township administration. They already know we're thinking along these lines. This was one of the proposals. And so I don't think it should be a surprise to the Board of Supervisors.
Okay. Well, we're all in agreement then that we're gonna focus it on McAllis Park and reenactment and whatever else we can squeeze in or in and around there. And tie it.
Yeah,
into
I mean,
Washington Crossing, of course.
I'm not going to say no, but I think a reenactment in December, like, I'm really into history. And as cold as it's been these last days, I wouldn't go anywhere near that.
Yeah, that's why I say if we could move it
Like,
to
I
October or
I
something.
think that's like, I think we need to think about something that people are going to come to.
Right. Well, the reality is people show up for the crossing every year on Christmas Day and the rehearsal on the day before, the 2 days before,
Right.
which means there's going to be an actors local, which
And I
means we
think
could
it'd be
say, hey,
better
you
it
can
was
get paid to
virtual.
camp here for a couple days beforehand. I don't think it's. gonna
Well,
be
they
that
might be able
tough.
to get somebody available if,
Right.
if we're not on the same days as the reenactment is
Exactly.
over.
And they're going to be
Okay.
here for the reenactment and the crossing. They usually do every year.
Okay.
What
I
you
will
think,
chime in
Victor?
here. I have been to a reenactment. Actually, I think it was over in Princeton a couple of years ago. It was a Revolutionary War reenactment, and it was in the middle of January. And people showed up, but no one stuck around for very long just because it was cold out. Though it might be worth noting, though, since our Decembers are usually I mean they're cold, but they're not as cold as say sometimes we get in January and February. It might be easier to get a reenacting group out there since they're less likely to be booked. Like they're going to be obviously extremely busy for that entire year.
Yeah, I think
But-
that's the group I contacted, Victor, the Princeton guys. The whole reenactment could go from the 3rd of December to the 11th. I mean, it depends on how long we want to do it as well. Because we don't know where they were after they left Macclesfield. They were on the road to basically, I think I've traced where they would walk through Yardley Borough and then up Darlington Road to 532 to get to Washington's Crossing, because the road along the river did not exist.
It's a shame we can't coordinate with these other organizations that are getting reenactment groups together to kind of all contribute to like getting one group out there that jumps from, along a timeline from different places, but
Victor, are you able to kind of jump in with Mitch and kind of help figure this out? Monica will write the grant, but she's, kind of needs a plan.
Mhm.
Which is like, I mean, I don't think we have to firm up dates, but we need to probably have an estimate from reenactors. We need to submit a budget. We need to set, some basic stuff here. I think Monica, like I said, Monica's willing to write it if this is what we decide.
But
And I'm willing to, go to Dave and say, this is what we're thinking.
Right. Well, I can talk to Jennifer Martin
Mhm.
and find out if she can give me the names of the reenactment groups she's using, which is plenty of them because she probably ties them all up. And I could begin some conversations if she's willing to give up some names and they're willing to talk to us, then maybe we get more information from there. Maybe there is another group that could do it. Maybe there's a day they have that they're available that we could put
There's
it
a
in.
group associated with the Trenton Barracks too.
I really don't know who she's involved with, but I know that they've got tons of reenactments
Sure
going
she's
on.
tied to everyone.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll give her a buzz and find out what their plans are. And if I talk to anybody, can you give me some names?
All right, so I think what I would suggest is you're going to do that. I'll reach out to Dave Kratzner, and if there's any obstacles, I will let you know as kind of the lead on this, and then maybe you can meet with, some people from the commission and kind of flesh this out a little, and then check in with Monica, and she's really good at kind of
Yeah.
taking your thoughts and
Due May 19th, right? Is that the date?
15th.
15th, okay, good, because I leave for Europe on the 17th.
Yeah, so if you can have it, if you have it written, we can approve it at our meeting on the 14th.
Right.
But we're gonna have to kind of go ahead.
I'll coordinate this with Monica
Yes.
and, well, I have Jim who's been working with me on it as well. And if you have anything you want to add to it, I certainly would take all the help I can get. Okay, one more thing.
I probably, do we need to make, we probably need to make a motion. Is somebody, would somebody like to make a motion about pursuing a grant for a Makefield reenactment for 250? Helen, you made it?
Yep.
Helen made it. Is there a second? All in favor?
I,
Including Tom and Victor.
Okay.
It's unanimous.
I got one more thing.
Thanks.
This Saturday, Gather Place is having a program and it's Passover, so I won't be able to be there. I understand you were going to go. Did you get the flyer with all the information on it or? Okay, well, in case you want the hard copy, I got it here. Thanks for going, appreciate it. It's, they obviously have a whole thing going on and I'd love to be able to find out what it is their plans are.
Yeah, they got like a $25,000 grant early on. And I have to say, at least based on her Facebook posting, she's like, I don't know if they paid a professional or what, but she's got her shit together and she's doing some good stuff.
They're all over the Bucks 250 website already. They've already put up a whole bunch of stuff on there and.
Shirley's a great marketer.
Yeah, well, listen, if you're that far ahead of it.
Yeah, and she's got a lot of support from Yardley Borough.
All right, well, that's where we're at. I mean, it's a slog, but we're getting there.
All right.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I can give you the date on that in a minute here. All right, the next one is May 22nd, and again, I'm gonna be in Europe at that point, so someone's gonna have to cover me, because Jim so far knows about it. That's Thursday, May 22nd at Washington Crossing, and that's between, that's at 4:00 in the afternoon. And they do have refreshments there, and I might say they have very good refreshments.
And then I just wanted to back up because Victor came in a little late and I know he's on the Historic Resource Survey group. So two things. you're going to need to set up a PA share account and then send that information to Jeff, and he is going to work with the state to get all of you access to this specific project. And then if you're interested in working, Dave next to me is taking the lead. We have to do a community event, and what that's going to be is like 4 hours in this room. If people have stuff on their houses, that they want to bring and share with us, we can scan it, and we can also share some of our resources that we have here. We have a whole library back there. We have some other interesting stuff that people can look at. Jim Majewski has a whole lot of pictures and stuff. So I think those are the two things, right? Because we're going to need to do our part to start uploading the data pretty quickly, because the demolition ordinance is on hold until the survey is done.
Gotcha. Yeah, I could help with that event.
Okay, cool. All right. Any comments on any of this? Any new business? This is going to be a record short meeting. Woo.
One new business, can we ask the powers that be, township management, et cetera, to review the final drawings of the barn at Prickett's Preserve as it was put together. This is a request from actually Harb people who are very upset with the fact that the barn as it appears now does not look anything like the building that they approved for that site, and that the builder has put gigantic air conditioner units on the roof so that all of the barn is obscured from the street, which kind of negates the whole point of saving the barn. They were worried about, there were two, Steve and one of the other Harb people were over at our house, and they were concerned about the fact that no one at the township seems to follow up on plans that have been approved, and then especially by this kind of board or Harb board, worried about the new demolition ordinance, and then totally ignored by the builders, and there seems to be no recourse. Just putting it out there.
So I would say, one, that sounds like something Harb should be reaching him out to. But if Harb wants the historical commission's support on something, what I would suggest is their chair write me an email and we can look at it and evaluate what it is. Because
They haven't had a meeting, I guess, in like almost 4 months. That's why they're so upset that there's no follow through by township officials. So
Okay.
us.
Well, even if they don't have a meeting, if one of them wants to send me an email about the issue, and then,
I'll suggest
can-
that.
Hmm?
I'll suggest that.
yeah, or attend our meeting. Jeff actually just said that. Good idea.
It's just that there's no follow-up.
Okay. Well, I mean, frankly, I spend enough time following up on our stuff.
And I'm worried about other builders that are impacting the village right now, who are probably taking note that the builders of the Prickett group basically just did what they wanted, about the construction without getting approvals.
Well, it also sounds to me like they need to get a quorum and stuff so that they can start having meetings. Why aren't they having meetings?
No, they only get called for a meeting when there's something to approve. Harb
Oh,
operates on that basis.
Gotcha.
So there's been no meeting. They had approved a drawing way back, years ago, literally years ago. And what has been built is now several iterations down the road, and they never came back for subsequent approvals from Harb.
okay. I mean, what I would say is then they can either come here or they can send me something and we can kind of discuss it at a meeting. But it seems to me that
Liz,
they
what-
can also request a meeting
Yeah,
with the
they want
township
our- they want
manager.
our support, that's all.
Okay, if they want our support, then they can formally request it and we can discuss it more thoroughly. It's not that I don't want to support her, but yeah. All right. Any other new business?
No, I just, Helen, I have like 3 or 4 emails for you. Which is the best one to send things for you?
Your email.
Me, my email, right now, send it to, hxh048@jefferson.edu.
You're gonna have to give me that again, Helen.
Okay, small case, hxh048@jefferson.edu.
I sent something to your Juno email a few
Yeah,
minutes ago.
it's always wonky.
Okay. All right. And Jeff, I'd like to get together with you over the next week or so. I wasn't able to make the kickoff meeting last week, and I need to be brought up to speed.
Make it happen.
Next meeting, 14th.
And does anybody need, because Victor, I don't think you were here when you left, and I don't know, Dave, if you were able to attend, because I wasn't able to attend the meeting. Does anybody need access to the recording of the meeting? The kickoff meeting for the historic resource stuff? Okay, so
Yeah,
Dave
I'll need
needs
it.
that, Victor needs
I do
that,
too.
probably Tom needs that.
Yep, we do.
I'd like to see it.
Okay, Helen. All right,
I'll send it out to the group.
thank you, Jeff. All right. Anything else? Awesome. Less than an hour. Would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn? Oh, next meeting. You just said that to me.
14th,
May 14th? And
motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn. Jeff, second. Dave, all in favor? Aye. All right, we're done.
Don't forget to turn off the recording.